Welcome back, everyone. This is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, here with the first Dark Seal matchups of the new year. It is the 4th of January, 2024, and we are in our first Dark Seal. So, as usual, let's take a look at how the matchups are this time around. My region is down here in Battlefield 21, and we are up against 77 and 127. 77, I'll admit, I don't know much about. I am not familiar with really any of the alliances in this region. However, 127 is one that I'm familiar with, and that's because it has K815, an alliance we've seen quite a bit in Korean-based matchmaking that the game has purposely put in. They've worked with a number of other Korean alliances and have done very well for themselves. So it'll be an interesting matchup this time for sure for our region, but that's not really what you want to see. You want to know how the matchups are doing towards the top. Taking a look at the first five as we normally do, we have 14, 16, and 96. 16 and 96 is a fair matchup. DHX and HNB definitely have a lot of power on them right now. 14, I'm trying to remember. MGM, I know I've seen PETA, I know I've seen MGM before, but not towards the top of anything really. So they're the poor region that gets stuck being the battlefield, basically. So I do feel bad because a lot of times these two regions will end up coming to the weaker region and fighting there, because they're going to argue over who's going to take this metro in order to get more points than their enemies, which is a fair assessment, but I do feel bad for everyone in that region. And here we have 4 and 102. 102. Drawing a blank, and I probably shouldn't be. Yep, I shouldn't have been. ROK. ROK versus Boone is definitely going to be an interesting fight. We've seen how powerful ROK can be thanks to the last Archipelago raid. And 4, we know what to expect from Boone. And again, we have 41 who's going to be the battlefield for this. I do feel bad because 16 billion is nothing to scoff at in a region, and yet they really don't have much of a chance here. Onwards to Battlefield 3. We have 3. This is one of the more even ones that I've seen come out of the top. 26 is still probably going to run away with this because if I remember correctly, 26 is BTW. So we've got BTW in a battlefield with two slightly weaker regions in 120 and 121. 120 LTF, I do expect them to put up a fight. They have a lot of cohesion in their group movements and stuff like that, and we've seen them fight before. Let's take a look at 121. And 121 has Lion. I haven't seen as much out of Lion as I would like, but they have appeared towards the top in a lot of these matchmakings. So we should probably get quite a bit out of them too. It'll be interesting to see if they team Lion and LTF team up against BTW to see if they can try and give them a fight, so to speak. Onwards to Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 is 17, 15, and 17 with 98, 147, and 194. 147, we know them. We fought against them before. Despite the 15 billion, we know what they can do. HAO has been in some rough Dark Seals, and have come out fairly well in them. So this is going to be an interesting matchup already. And they also have 194, which consists of Syndicate. So Syndicate, I haven't seen do a lot. Again, they've been put in some really good matchmaking, When they do act, they work fairly well together, but it does seem like they sit out of some fights as well, which is perfectly reasonable. If you have an alliance that can't participate in every single event, they're bound to sit out some of them. And finally, rounding out the top 5, we have 842 and 159. I don't know any of these. Try to remember these this time. 842 and 159. Looking at 8, we know Fine, but this is after Fine has pulled their better members. It looks like they've been recruiting anyway, and they now have a fairly full alliance again. And me talking about looking at numbers, completely forgot the numbers that I wanted to remember. 42, 159. Don't let myself forget that. New D. At what point does it become old D? I gotta know. How long can we be New D before becoming old D? We know New Ds. I haven't seen them recently. I know with some of their older fights that they've been in, they've done fairly well. And then you've got 159. And 159, we have LAS, which LAS has done a lot in the past. So it'll be interesting to see what these top 5 will do. Honestly, only having 2 regions that are runaway regions should make the matchmaking towards the top very interesting to watch. There's a couple others I wanted to look at. One was Battlefield 84. I have a buddy of mine who's down here in a mostly decent matchmaking. He's in 277, and he's up against 2 regions that are over 1 billion power less than him. And while they do have slightly better Federation age, that would actually give them maybe a month on them, which isn't significant, to be perfectly honest, especially with the new top commander setup that they have. So I do imagine, Ian King, if you're listening right now, I imagine you're going to do fairly well on this one. And if they team up to try and fight you, just sit on the defensive and collect your glory points. The last one I wanted to check was Battlefield 35. Battlefield 35, my friend, is in Region 109. They're a little bit underpowered, however, with a lot of Federation development on them, their alliances should be better equipped to handle defensive fights. So while they are underpowered for the rest of their matchup, they could still handle things defensively if they play their cards right. So, again, some things to think about. It is weird to see this much of a difference down here in these battlefields, though. So maybe they've reworked the matchmaking system a little bit, hopefully for the better, right? We've had some pretty poor matchups in some of the lower regions lately based off of complaints that I've heard. So hopefully things will work out better this time. Hopefully the Dark Seal event for the first time this year runs well for everybody. And with that being said, this is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, signing off.